There's a reason canned fruit has lived on our shelves for generations. It's sweet-ready and strangely comforting. You twist the opener, hear that soft hiss, and within seconds summer is in your bowl again. Pineapple that needs no slicing. Peaches that never brown. You can eat it straight, stir it into yogurt, bake it into pies, always perfect, always waiting. But beneath that easy sweetness lies something darker. Many of those cans hold more syrup than fruit, more chemistry than orchard. The same glow that makes them look fresh is often the same process that feeds your body with sugars. It can't use preservatives, it can't process, and additives it never asked for. Spoon by spoon, it reshapes taste and health without you even noticing. So what do we avoid when every label promises the same goodness? How do we tell which brand still deserves our trust? That's why we're here. Today we'll pour out 5 cans you should never open and 2 that truly honor the fruit inside. 1 Wegmans canned fruits. 3 cans from your pantry were just recalled for lead contamination. Wegmans fruit cocktail. Wegmans half pears and Wegmans organic sliced pears. All 15-ounce cans were flagged this September for lead levels above federal guidance. The recall covers roughly 62,000 units packed by Pacific Coast producers, the same California co-packer that supplies multiple grocery chains across the country. Because of this, what looks like a single brand issue quickly becomes something else, a supply chain echo spreading through shared factories and shared steel. Testing by Wegmans' internal quality team first caught the anomaly lead traces in the juice matrix, exceeding the FDA's recommended maximum for ready-to-eat fruit. The company immediately issued a Class 2 recall, which means the exposure isn't likely to cause immediate health damage, but prolonged consumption could, especially for children, pregnant women, or anyone with a compromised metabolism. Meanwhile, the source wasn't the fruit itself. Investigators suspect the contamination came from can lining or machinery contact, not from orchard soil. That's what makes this story alarming. Even the best-handled fruit can pick up danger downstream. It's a reminder that purity on the label doesn't guarantee purity in the process. According to recall documentation, the affected cans share production lot code 6FCB02C2206 and best by date August 2026 for the fruit cocktail and similar codes for the pears. They were sold in multiple states: New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, and beyond. The instructions are clear. Check the code, check the can. If you have one, return it to the store or call 1-855-934-3663 for a full refund. The risk is invisible. Lead doesn't change color or smell. It doesn't cloud the juice or dull the sweetness. It hides quietly until someone tests for it or until symptoms appear months later. Even small amounts can build up, affecting the nervous system, cognition, and kidney function. And while one can won't make a difference, routine exposure adds up, especially when similar suppliers feed multiple store brands. In contrast, this recall isn't a scandal, it's a warning shot. Wegmans acted quickly, posting full lot information on its website and notifying customers through emails and store signage. The problem lies not in the response, but in the system itself, the shared production ecosystem that turns variety into vulnerability. One factory, dozens of brands, thousands of shelves. When a single link rusts, the whole chain trembles. Consumers often imagine recalls as rare or distant events, but they're simply the system's honesty showing itself. Food safety depends not on perfection, but on detection, on companies catching the error before the customer swallows it. Wegmans did that. The next question is whether every other brand packed in the same plant can say the same. Therefore, awareness becomes protection. Don't panic, don't hoard, just pay attention. Turn the can, find the lot code, read the label the same way you check a medicine bottle before taking a dose. This story isn't here to frighten, it's here to steady. The more we understand what happens between orchard and aisle, the less likely we are to be caught off guard. Due del Monte peaches. This is Del Monte sliced yellow cling peaches and heavy syrup, one of the most familiar cans in America. The gold label, the soft orange slices swimming in a liquid that looks almost like honey. You could find it in lunch trays, hospital rooms, church picnics, and every kitchen that wanted a taste of summer in February. But beneath that glow sits a sweetness that doesn't belong to the orchard anymore. Look at the label, packed in heavy syrup. It sounds harmless, maybe richer, maybe special. In reality, heavy is a legal term. It means the liquid inside holds about 1/5 sugar by weight. In a half-cup serving, that's roughly 29 grams of sugar before your spoon even touches the peach. For instance, a fresh peach has less than half that amount. The syrup here isn't fruit juice. It's a chemical shield, a mixture of sugar corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup built to lock, color, stop bruising, and make every can taste identical no matter where it traveled. Then you notice the syrup, not the peach. It coats the tongue, leaving a sticky film that lasts longer than the fruit itself. That's not by accident. Each molecule of sugar slows oxidation and keeps texture firm through months of storage and shipment. Beneath that efficiency is a quiet trade-off. Every bite trains your palate to expect sweetness first, flavor second. Over time, even fresh fruit seems bland by comparison. Inside the factory, peaches are blanched, peeled, sliced, and suspended in syrup so dense it behaves more like lacquer than juice. The process cushions the fruit through canning and sterilization, but it also flattens aroma. What used to smell like late summer air now smells faintly metallic and sweet. Workers call it the candy phase. Even so, the product meets every standard glossy, color uniform, shape consistent taste. That's the genius in the problem. One retired teacher told us she used to start her mornings with a small bowl of these peaches. Her doctor called it a sugar bomb in disguise. The numbers proved him right. For someone trying to control blood sugar, a single serving could rival a soft drink. Yet it's marketed as fruit nature's cleanest food, and that's why it slips under the radar. In reality, this isn't fruit kept fresh, it's fruit kept sweet. The can delivers predictability, not nourishment. The syrup doesn't just preserve the peach, it preserves the illusion that nothing has changed since the orchard days. Compare it to a version packed in 100% juice, and the difference is visible. In juice, the slices float freely, color soft and natural. In heavy syrup, they drown sealed under a glassy amber glaze that catches light but hides flavor. For generations, we accepted that glaze as proof of quality. Now we know better. Sometimes the sweetest thing in the pantry isn't dessert, it's the disguise. 3 dull pineapple chunks. You open the can, and the sweetness hits first. Not the scent of fruit, but a wave of syrup thick enough to smell. Inside, dole. Pineapple chunks and heavy syrup gleam like glass. They're golden, perfect, glistening as if painted by the tropics themselves. The label shows sunshine and sea breeze, but what slides onto your spoon is something else entirely: sunshine trapped in sugar. Pineapple is supposed to have a spark. It's a fruit that wakes you up sharp, lively, and bright with natural acid. But here that life is gone. The syrup has muted it, burying freshness under a sticky calm. Each bite feels soft, overly sweet, almost reluctant. It's not the fruit talking anymore, it's the formula. In practice, heavy syrup isn't just a name, it's a measurement. It means roughly 1/5 of the liquid is pure sugar. That density keeps the fruit from floating, stops bruising, and guarantees the same glossy bite every time. It's efficient, yes, but it also turns something wild into something obedient. Pineapple that once sang with tang now hums with syrup. Moreover, the definition isn't exclusive to Dole. The USDA sets that standard and nearly every canner follows it. On paper, it's food science working at full precision. In reality, it's industrial sweetness masquerading as nature. Beneath the label, those chunks don't rest in juice squeezed from the fruit, they drift in a sugar solution blended in bulk. It's preservation by calculation, and yet it works too well. The syrup blocks the color, gives every piece that luminous sheen, and smooths away anything unpredictable. But in doing so, it scrubs off the edge that defines pineapple. The tang that used to rush across your tongue is flattened. The aroma becomes faint, as if it's been polished out. Beyond that, the texture turns unnaturally even soft, steady, a kind of mechanical perfection. The more you eat, the heavier it gets. The syrup lingers at the back of your throat, coating the palate with a sweetness that refuses to fade. The next bite no longer refreshes, it repeats. The sugar dulls your senses little by little until all that's left is the hum of sweetness and the silence where the fruit used to be. A home baker in Florida told us she used to love using this exact can for pineapple upside-down cake. It always caramelizes perfectly, she said, but now I can't eat it plain anymore. It's just too sweet, like syrup pretending to be fruit. She pushed the bowl away, shaking her head. It's like the fruit forgot who it was. Still, the chemistry behind it is clever. The syrup protects the chunks through high-heat sterilization, preventing them from turning brown or mushy. Without it, the fruit might fall apart. It's practical, but costly. That glow you see isn't sunlight. It's the reflection of control. You taste it once and think this is rich. You taste it again and realize this is endless. Beneath the palm trees on the label, the island is mostly sugar. And once you recognize that glaze for what it truly is, not sunlight, not ripeness, but design, you understand why it feels so heavy. The tropics never made it into the can. Only the sweetness did. Quattro del Monte Fruit Cocktail. In January of 2025, the Food and Drug Administration quietly did something that should have shaken every supermarket aisle it banned. Red number 3, the synthetic dye once used to brighten countless foods, including Del Monte Fruit Cocktail in heavy syrup. At first glance, that may sound trivial. But for anyone who grew up chasing that single glowing cherry in a fruit cup, it marks the end of an era. That red dot, the cheerful centerpiece among peaches, pears, and grapes, was never real fruit at all. It was a pigment called erythrocene, a compound from the fluorescein family designed to withstand heat storage and time. It gave canned cherries their cartoon red hue, no matter how long they sat on the shelf. For decades, this additive was considered routine. Approved in the 1960s, Red number 3 was cheap, heat-stable, and easy to use. Its purpose wasn't flavor, it was theater. It told buyers the fruit was fresh, even after a year sealed in syrup. But over time, studies began to question that comfort. Toxicologists reviewing long-term data found evidence of thyroid tumor formation in laboratory rats exposed to high doses. The results weren't instant alarm bells, but they were enough to undermine the FDA's threshold for what it calls a reasonable certainty of no harm. So the agency drew the line. As of January 2025, no new foods could contain the dye. By January 2027, all existing products must remove it. Del Monte, along with several other legacy brands, began reformulating almost immediately. Yet the transition has been uneven. Some cans now list natural color, while others still carry Red number 3 on their ingredient panels, an artifact of older production cycles. The packaging, of course, remains identical. According to Dr. Lisa Lefferts, a toxicologist formerly with the Center for Science in the Public Interest, this lag is common. Color additives don't vanish overnight, she explains. They're deeply built into product identity. Reformulating means rewriting what the consumer expects to see. Food policy researcher Dr. David Shart adds, color is trust. When that changes, perception changes, and brands fear that more than regulation. The irony is striking. That red cherry meant to symbolize vitality became a symbol of how long nostalgia can outlive science. It doesn't make the fruit cocktail dangerous, but it does make it dated. A dye born in another century designed to impress a different kind of shopper still lingers in the present because color sells faster than facts. Notably, the FDA's move wasn't about panic, it was about modernization. Regulators are simply updating food law to match current toxicological understanding. Yet the image of that cherry endures bright, flawless, untouchable, a tiny relic glowing against its own obsolescence. Next time you open a can, watch the syrup. If it's tinged faintly pink, you're not just seeing fruit. You're seeing a rulebook in transition, a reminder that even something as small as color can age out of innocence. It's just a cherry, they'll say. But sometimes one color is enough to change how you see the whole cup. 5 Kroger Fruit Cocktail. Different aisle, same stain. This is Kroger Fruit Cocktail in heavy syrup, the store brand twin of the Del Monte mix we just opened. The label is simpler, the price a little lower, the promise nearly identical: real fruit, real value, real goodness. You'd think it came from somewhere else, entirely a smaller line, maybe a friendlier process. But pour it out and the story looks eerily familiar. Same syrup, same smell, same glossy cherry drifting in the middle. At first glance, it feels like choice. The illusion is comforting: a national brand for recognition, a store brand for thrift. 2 options. 2 identities, one for every shopper. Yet behind the shelf, the boundaries blur. According to industry reports, private label fruit products like Kroger's are often processed in the very same canning facilities that handle big-name contracts. The recipes shift slightly, the labels change, but the pipelines stay. In contrast, what appears to be local value is often just the same production line rerouted through a different distributor. The syrup is identical in weight and composition, a heavy sugar pack hovering around 20% concentration. The cherries still tinted with Red number 3 in certain lots produced before reformulation deadlines. Even the cans share suppliers from steel coating to pull tab lids. It's the same, and yet we trust it differently. The private label feels modest, humble, almost honest, a product of frugality instead of marketing. That's the subtle power of branding. It reshapes perception without changing substance. We associate the store brand with practicality, the national brand with quality, but they often converge in the same tank before sealing. Meanwhile, the paperwork tells a quiet truth. In the world of commodity canning, a single factory can pack fruit cocktail for half a dozen retailers under distinct brand names. The formulas vary just enough to fit nutritional labeling, but not enough for taste to change. It's not deception, it's industrial efficiency. And efficiency has a flavor predictable, repeatable, indistinguishable. At first, this might feel harmless. After all, the fruit is the same, the sugar's the same. Why should the name matter? But the deeper question is what this sameness costs. When every can taste identical, food becomes less about trust and more about tolerance. The system doesn't aim to delight, only to deliver. It's food designed to pass unnoticed. Experts in supply chain transparency call this label mirroring, a byproduct of consolidation that narrows diversity without anyone realizing it. Dr. Jeffrey Kahn, a food systems analyst, describes it this way. We talk about brand loyalty as if it's a relationship, but for most processed goods, loyalty is just logistics. The same fruit moves through multiple identities before it meets the customer. That quiet efficiency is what built modern grocery empires: reliable, safe, unremarkable. But it also eroded the sense that brands stand for something distinct. Kroger's fruit cocktail doesn't deceive you. It simply repeats what's already been perfected elsewhere. And when perfection becomes routine, it stops meaning anything at all. The visual sameness drives the point home. The syrup pours the same way, thick, gold, obedient. The cherries still glint, that manufactured red clinging to the side of the spoon. Close your eyes and you couldn't tell one label from another. The sweetness doesn't change, only the story printed on the tin. Equally, the choice feels smaller now. We reach for variety but find echoes. The packaging may differ, but the contents whisper the same language: standardized flavor, synchronized comfort. And that's what makes this can unsettling, not what's inside, but how easily sameness disguises itself as selection. We thought we were choosing, but somewhere between factory and shelf, the can was choosing for us. For all the cans that lost their way, drowned in syrup, polished by chemistry, or sweetened by design, a few still remember where they came from. They don't glow under fluorescent light or shout in capital letters. They simply open to the smell of real fruit, sharp, clean, alive. No syrup glaze, no engineered balance, just harvest sealed at its peak. These are the quiet survivors of an industry that forgot its roots. And now, as we turn to the bright side, let's meet the brands that prove honesty can still fit inside a can. 6 Trader Joe's organic pineapple chunks. Then there's a can that doesn't try to shine, it just opens clean. Trader Joe's organic pineapple chunks in 100% juice doesn't come dressed in glossy gold or bright claims. No freshest ever, no crafted in paradise. Just small black letters on a cream label, a quiet seal that says organic, and an ingredient list with only 2 words: pineapple and juice. It's almost disarming in its simplicity. After shelves of syrup, dyes, and artificial no-sugar promises, this can feel like stepping outside after a long day indoors. The juice runs clear, not thick. The scent is sharp, floral, alive. The kind of freshness that doesn't need to announce itself. You don't taste sweetness first, you taste fruit. In contrast to the heavy syrup formulas that rely on sugar for preservation, Trader Joe's packs its pineapples in their own juice. That small shift changes everything. Without syrup coating every fiber, the natural acid of the fruit breathes again. The bite has texture, soft at first, then bright at the edges, almost sparkling. It's the taste of something that hasn't been silenced. By comparison, the label barely says anything at all, and maybe that's the point. In a market obsessed with storytelling, this one trusts the fruit to speak. Behind it is a sourcing model that actually rewards small lot growers. Most of Trader Joe's organic pineapple supply comes from family-run farms in Costa Rica and the southern Philippines, harvested at peak ripeness and canned within hours. There are no color stabilizers, no preservatives, just heat, pressure, and time. Nutritionists quietly praise that simplicity. Packing fruit in its own juice preserves more vitamin C and phenolic compounds than syrup ever could, while keeping the glycemic load roughly half that of heavy syrup versions. The flavor stays honest, and the texture firm, not slippery, still feels like something grown, not manufactured. Fruit in 100% juice isn't a trend dietitian Amy Keating once wrote. It's the baseline for what canned fruit should have been all along. Beyond labels, there's another reason this can stand out. Nothing is wasted. Home cooks use the leftover juice for marinades, mocktails, and smoothies. It tastes of fruit, not sugar water. Every part serves a purpose, and that efficiency feels strangely human in an industry built on excess. You taste the truth. There's no burst of candy at first bite, no syrup glaze to hide behind. Just pineapple that reminds you it once grew under real sun. That tang at the end, the little spark you almost forgot, is what authenticity tastes like when it's given room to breathe. And perhaps the most radical thing about this can is what it refuses to do. It doesn't promise perfection. It just delivers enough. Enough freshness, enough honesty, enough trust. In a world where labels keep getting louder, Trader Joe's does something rare. It whispers. The lesson isn't that every brand can be this transparent. It's that transparency still sells. The success of this simple can prove that people still want real food, not performance. It's proof that the quietest voice on the shelf can sometimes sound the clearest. Trader Joe's doesn't reinvent the fruit, it redeems it. Sometimes honesty really is the sweetest ingredient. 7/365 by Whole Foods Market Organic Sliced Peaches. 365 by Whole Foods. Market Organic Sliced Peaches in organic white grape juice does something rare in the canned aisle. It shows its work. No slogans. No glossy overstatement, just proof in print. The label lists every assurance right up front: organic certification, BPA-lined lining product of the USA, packed in organic white grape juice. To begin with, it reads less like marketing and more like a spec sheet, the kind that quietly earns trust instead of demanding it. Then again, that's the difference between design and disclosure. Most cans sell the dream of freshness. This one simply details the process. The BPA-lined non-intent lining matters. Acidic fruit like peaches can leach trace metals if stored in conventional epoxy coatings. Whole Foods adopted this safer lining standard across its 365 range years before regulation caught up. It doesn't change the taste, it changes the confidence. Thereafter, the rest of the proof sits in the juice itself. White grape juice isn't a sweetener here, it's a neutral carrier. Clear enough to reveal the fruit's color, mild enough not to mask its aroma. You pour, and the slices separate instantly, no syrup film holding them together. The surface glints, then settles, leaving a clean translucence instead of the oily sheen that heavy syrup leaves behind. The texture tells the same story: firm at the edge, soft in the middle, never collapsing. Consequently, the flavor follows suit. It opens gentle floral with the quiet acidity that makes real peaches addictive. There's balance, not indulgence, not austerity, just enough sugar from the juice to lift the natural fruit tone. And when you finish a spoonful, something rare happens. The sweetness ends when the fruit does. The finish stays clean. Every claim on the label can be verified. The lot code identifies the harvest block and processing week. The traceback system ties each batch to a specific grower co-op in California's Central Valley. Even the white grape juice has its own certification tag. This level of transparency isn't glamour, it's governance. It tells you who, when, and how, three details that most brands hide behind the word quality. Practicality follows principle. The juice drains neatly, leaving slices that hold up in yogurt-baked dishes or on their own. Home cooks reuse the liquid for glazing, blending, even mixing with sparkling water, a quiet bonus that reflects thoughtful formulation. Nothing here feels accidental. Then again, it's not cheap. The can costs a little more than store-brand fruit. But that's the price of standard, safer lining materials, verified supply chains, slower canning to preserve cell structure. Whole Foods doesn't disguise the premium. It just earns it. At last, this kind of accountability tastes better than any syrup ever could. The clarity you see through the juice mirrors the clarity in how it's made. No hidden additives, no fine print to decode, just peaches juice and a paper trail that stands behind both. In a category built on shortcuts, 365 by Whole Foods proves that doing things right still has a flavor. Clean, steady, transparent. At last, a can that tastes as clear as its paperwork, proof that standards aren't a slogan, they're a flavor. For all the noise that fills the grocery aisle, the colors, the slogans, the promises, the truth turned out to be simple. The best cans weren't the loudest. They were the most honest. Fruit that kept its form, its brightness, its story. From the syrup-soaked relics to the quietly pure ones, this journey wasn't just about what we eat, it was about what we trust. Every label we flip, every word we read, is a small vote for the kind of food system we believe in. Real progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from awareness. Because once you know what's inside the can, you start to see the pattern not just in fruit, but everywhere. And maybe that's the sweetest ending of all, rediscovering the taste of something real and realizing it was never lost, just waiting to be noticed again.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.